All right, back with Bob Nelson. You and I were just chatting about your staff, which I and Raylene have repeatedly commended for just the exceptional level of customer service. That is something that Nelson's Hardware really, truly hangs their hat on. You're just known as being the place to go if you want some customer service where you got something stressful going on at the house. You have no idea what you're dealing with. You got frankly, some dumb questions. You walk in there and you're going to be treated like royalty. That's what you guys are known for.
Thank you.
And we were just talking about your staff and how young a good portion of your staff is, and the way you train them, the way that you take them in under your wing and say, look, when the customer walks through the door, they are the priority over all things.
Correct. There's nobody more important than the person walking through the door.
Yeah.
And that includes me. That includes Kelly or Annette, their bosses. But if you're walking through the door, you're the most important person at that time. And we want to make sure that you get greeted. We want to make sure that you find what you need, and in the quickest way possible. And to your point, we do have a lot of young people. We utilize a lot of young people, in part, even more so now because of the way that the labor market is. There are young people, and I mean young people, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. Those are the ones that want to work. Those are the ones that are looking for work and knocking on the door. And there are positives and negatives. Somebody that young can only work a certain amount of hours. Somebody that young doesn't have a lot of life skills. But again, we can take them and kind of give them some of those skills so that in a couple of years or when they go to college, they've got some of those skills that are necessary to be able to excel in life. And again, sometimes it's just simple things like you show up 5 minutes or 10 minutes early for your shift so that you're ready to go when your shift starts. You treat your coworkers with respect, things like that. And learning to care for people when they come in. I use the adage of, you've got a young mom or dad that's in with a little baby on their hip, and you see them struggling with carrying a bag of magic salt or something. You offer to take the baby, or you offer to take the magic salt. Little things like that. And I'll tell you today. Those interpersonal interactions are sometimes difficult for some of the young folks,
Sure.
And
Yes.
we've got a very good crew, and all the credit for their development is rests squarely with Kelly and with Annette. I mean, I have a hand in it, but they're the ones that manage the business, the day-to-day stuff. I'm just kind of the helicopter parent, kind of looking things over.
So basically, you're a mentor. You're teaching everyone how to take care of the customer. But where's this coming from? From your dad to you?
Yeah. My mom and dad started this version of Nelson Hardware in 1983 with myself. The deal was that I told my parents that I enjoyed business. My father said he was in business with his brothers. He was looking to do something different. And so the deal was that after 4 years, if I decided this was what I wanted to do, that they would give me in stock in the business what it would cost for 4 years to go to UVM, for instance, in school tuition. And if it wasn't what I wanted to do, then they would either give me that much in cash, or they would offer to put me through school for 4 years. I recognized from a pretty early age that that's what I wanted to do. So, we got started, and my dad had somebody that came with him from his older business, and from Nelson Brothers. Her name was Arlene Jerry, and she gave the best customer service around, and I learned a lot from her. And so in learning that, and then as we brought people on, I tried to pass that on to them, and I guess it's taken. I'll be honest. Sometimes you hire people and you think that they're going to get it, and they don't. And then there are other people who you're not sure they're going to get it, and they end up excelling at it. So it takes I'll say it takes a special person to be able to put yourself out there and say, what can I help you find? What can I do to help with your project and make your life a little bit better by getting you so that you can go do something fun? You're taking care of your project.
We're in just, I can't help but think, talking about younger staff, and the younger generation. My God, I'm sounding old right now, but it's like and I tell my nephews this, who are 18 years old, just thinking outside of the box, like what you just said. If you see a customer come in, they look stressed out, they look a little disheveled, they got a lot of other things that are on their minds. If you see that they're struggling or whatever, grab that bag of whatever they're carrying and offer to help and bring them out to their car.
Exactly.
And open the car door. It's just all of these things.
Those are the little things that I feel set Nelson's apart. It's the people,
Huge.
the people first, but then it's the actions of the folks that are there.
Yeah.
We work really hard to try to make everybody's experience coming in the best possible.
Sure. I've joked about this before, and I've joked about it on the air with Raylene, of how many seconds does it take when you walk through that threshold to be asked, or at least acknowledged, good morning.
Yeah.
Is there something I can help you find? And I don't think it's ever been more than 5 seconds. It's remarkable. It really is. So we just, the community, I say we love you guys, but the community loves you guys. What happened in Bob Nelson's mind in March of 2020, when the shit was hitting the fan, everything became unglued.
Yeah.
Nobody saw this coming. All of a sudden, we've got the governor telling everyone, stay home, don't go anywhere. Masks, no masks, CDC, infectious control. The world went crazy.
Yeah.
Bob Nelson, owner of the hardware store, you guys have Nelson's has always been more than a hardware store, but maybe that has never been more true than when COVID hit. What were you thinking in your mind? Oh my God, do I close down? Do I close my doors? I'm going to be more than just the store where people are coming in, getting a wrench or some hardware. This was a total game changer for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, my initial response was like everybody's, is, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's next? My first thought was for my family, for my staff, because if, like many businesses that did have to close and couldn't reopen for a month, 3 months, 4 months, I worried about how I was going to pay the bills. I worried about how I was going to keep my staff so that they could feed their families. These were things that I was concerned about. The fortunate thing for us is that the governor said hardware stores are essential. And they need to stay open. And so, I mean, we became, a lifeline's not really the right term.
Oh,
but,
I think it is, buddy.
I don't know. I think that's a big term. But we certainly became a point of contact for a lot of people.
And a hell of a lot more than just a hardware store.
Yeah.
Big time.
People still needed products. They still had faucets that were leaking. They couldn't invite a plumber, or didn't want to invite a plumber into their home, or somebody to fix their lamp or whatever. So our business model changed within 2 weeks. our business model completely changed because 80% of our business was done via the phone all of a sudden. And 75% of that business was curbside pickup, which again, we were happy to carry stuff out to people's car and do that and everything, but it was completely different now. As people calling in saying, these are the 5 things I need, and I'll call when I get there. I'm driving a red car, and we would go out and put it in their trunk, and it was a different time. The positive for Nelson's is that as a hardware store, and because we had somebody that answered the phone, we get that a lot. I'm so glad that you have a real person that answers the phone.
Wow.
That's another comment that I get on a regular basis. And because of that, we became very busy. And we kind of joked about this, I think on another time when I was here. But that summer, there were lawns that hadn't been fertilized ever that were getting fertilized.
Exactly.
Because people were home. They decided they were going to plant gardens, and so raised bed and garden seeds and all of these things. They needed. Folks needed those, or they wanted them to be able to get outside and do things. And home, canning and preservation exploded. It just exploded.
I remember well, you couldn't even find the jar lifters.
No.
Let alone the jars.
No. So,
oh my God. And it's still like that.
There, to some extent, you're correct. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Ace used to fill our orders at around 97.5%, 98%. During 2020 and the first half of 2021, it was less than 50% fill rate. So we had to be very creative in finding other avenues to be able to find product. Canning jars and Ace did the same thing to their credit. They took on a company that they'd never taken on before because they said, we can provide you with X amount of jars.
Sure.
And so we brought in 700 cases of those jars because Ball, they couldn't provide them.
They
just couldn't get.
I remember that so well.
But those are the things that Ace does is they're very reactive and proactive in trying to find, okay, so we're not going to be able to get these widgets, and they're going to be out for 6 or 8 weeks. So we need to find another manufacturer to make those for us and get them into our warehouse so that folks like Bob Nelson can get them into their store and sell them. And then, the opportunity came to expand my business during a pandemic, and I dearly wish that this had happened 10 years prior, but it didn't.
Right.
So the opportunity arose, and again, in the midst of all that, and again, that was a extraordinarily stressful period of time because, you order $27,000 worth of fixtures to refixture a space, and they ship $13,000 worth of fixtures. Well, it's great. I got uprights, and I got shelves, but I got no brackets to hold the product to the wall, or I don't have shelves. So, a project that should have taken realistically 90 days front to back done. It ended up we started it in May and finished in January of 22. So
maybe some of the reason why you don't have any hair.
It's possible. It's possible. I think it was all the rock and roll.
My God,
made me lose my hair.
And you, the Ace franchise has been amazing to you.
Yes.
You pick up the phone. You know what you need. They know what you need. You guys are almost like a married couple.
Yeah, to some extent, because I do work hand in hand with the regional leaders from Ace. And matter of fact, our regional business manager has just moved on. His family owns another brand hardware store, and they decided that they were going to retire, and so he is in the process of buying his family's hardware store, and converting them to Ace.
Wow.
So, and I literally, during the last 18 months, it would be a rare day that he and I weren't on the phone. Some of that is that I'm the group leader for Ace dealers for the state of Vermont.
You are.
So some of that is because of that, talking about what programs that we want to talk about with the group and what
Sure.
group meetings. and
Look
that.
at the product partnerships that you have, not just Milwaukee, but I mean, my God, Traeger grills. What's the other one? Blackstone,
Blackstone, it's very big. Weber.
Weber,
You know?
Weber. Yes. Yeti.
Yeah.
How's that? There's still a Yeti craze. People are still like about the gotta have it.
There's nothing like a Yeti. There are some things that I think there are some things that are overstated. I think a lot of the products that you just mentioned, if somebody buys a Yeti cooler, somebody buys a Yeti cup, they're going to love it until they lose it, because that's typically what happens.
Right.
Milwaukee Tools, same thing. Weber Grill, same thing. Traeger. These are products that when people walk out of Nelson's with them, I know they're going to come back at some point and say, "Oh my God, I love this product."
Got to have another one.
Right.
For
Exactly.
my husband or for whatever.
Right. Those items are easy to sell because nobody's going to come back ever and complain. And on that 0.1% chance where somebody has a problem with their Traeger or their Yeti or whatever, that Nelson's is going to take care of them because Yeti's going to take care of us, because Milwaukee's going to take care of us, because Traeger's going to take care of us. So it's amazing,
39 years. You just that you've had the wheel since 1983.
Yeah.
The Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce gave a huge recognition breakfast for you. What was that? About a year ago, almost March.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was.
That's going to be a little weird to be in the Elks Lodge with so many people who are all praising you and your dad and your whole staff. That was an overwhelming day for you.
It was overwhelming. It's humbling. My wife and I talk about quite often how the community has been so great to Nelson Hardware, to us, our family.
It's reciprocal, isn't it?
And it is. We do what little things we can to give back to the community, whether it's supporting a cause or whether it's serving in a municipal capacity or doing something else entirely. It was very humbling to be recognized. It was a lot of fun. We had a little roast of me at the beginning, which was a lot of fun.
Well, Mark and Ruben?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I mean, that was just like Academy Award winning.
They are something else. And again,
they're script writers, those guys.
Some of the relationships that I formed in the last 40 years this year, 40 years in October, they're some of those relationships with these younger people. They're not quite 30 years younger than I am, but they're 25 anyway, years younger than I am. And to have such a great relationship, and again, with a company like theirs, they get the customer service aspect of it too. So we really have hit it off, and I treasure that business relationship that we have and the friendship that we have.
Relationship.
There's tequila involved in a lot of this relationship, not during work hours, but
I don't doubt it for 1 second. What's your favorite kind of tequila?
Casamigos right now. Yeah, I'm also a Patron fan, but I like Casamigos. Yeah,
you said the R word, relationships. There is not a business anywhere on North Main Street here that doesn't have a hand-in-hand relationship with you. You talk about one big family. Main Street Barrie is massive. It does push beyond the borders of Barrie City quite a bit. People come from afar to make their way to Nelson's for a lot of different reasons. But you have relationships that are so rock solid. Not just you, but Annette, the whole team over there.
Yep.
This community, and I'm saying not just North Main Street, the community outside of North Main Street, they know, if they know one thing, they know that Nelson's has their damn back, especially other small businesses, that if they're in need or if there's something that they need a helping hand with, even if there's some past history that may not be so loving and fluffy, they know that when times get tough, that you're going to be right there and you're going to be offering a hand. And in a way of saying, let's not worry about it now. We'll take care of things later. But in the meantime, let's stop this leak. Let's help you out here, whatever it may be.
Again, that's all part of the relationships. You know, you mentioned the chamber event for me, and I talked at that time about how I have my downtown merchant family relationship. I have my musical family relationship. I have my hunting camp family. You know, I have all these little groups, if you will, and
Sure.
they all mix at times, but you know, I have all of these different relationships, and I'm so fortunate to have that. And the people in the downtown here, we all support each other, as you know. You know, I go across the street to the market. I go up the street to you know, again, someone you can rely on every day to give a hand is Mary Jane. You know, she's amazing.
MJ's made 50 years.
Yeah, amen.
Incredible.
Yep. And you know, but those are the relationships, and now I'm glad to form relationships with new business owners, you know, in the downtown, some who are a lot younger than I am,
Sure.
and you know, encourage that, and because you know, it's in some respects it's easier 40 years later than it was 40 years ago, but in a lot of ways it's a lot harder. You know, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have somebody coming in and saying, "Hey, here's my phone. This is what Amazon will sell it to me for," and
Or even cell phones.
yes, you know,
Yeah, right. Comparing this is what Amazon's going to sell for.
Right.
What can you do?
right?
Yeah. Oh,
and you know, and it's a different world, and there are a lot of savvy shoppers out there who do their homework.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nice things about the internet is, we'll have people come in and look at a Traeger and say they've heard about it, and that's all they know. And so we spend half an hour, 40 minutes explaining, you know, all the features. And, you know, Annette cooks on one 5 days a week. I cook on one at least 3 days a week. So
Michael Booten cooks
Yeah.
he cooks on his Traeger 8 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, and he was one I spent 35, 40 minutes with him the first time. He said he was going to buy one, and then he won it. So that worked out great.
And he's constantly talking about it. I mean, he just
Yeah.
absolutely loves it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
Father's Day, Sherilyn.
I put a little note down here on my pad. But you know, those are the relationships that you can make. But the people that come in, some of them, they've done their homework.
Yeah.
You know, they want to stand toe to toe with you and talk about how much they know about the product because they've done their homework.
Sure.
And that's great, because at that time, you know, after you go through, okay, it does this, it has this, it has this. Now you can get down into the weeds a little bit and say, okay, like when I cook, this is what I do, and like when Annette cooks, this is what she does. So then you can kind of get down a little bit broader instead of just saying, hey, you know, it burns pellets, you have to plug it in, it works on Wi-Fi. You know, those are what it does, but it's not about how it does it, and that's when it gets fun. Talking about the sauces and the rubs and the different pellets, and the, you know, how the different types of smoke can react with different types of food. So it's pretty cool.
You've had to master this. You've had to learn about this. I mean, and you've done a great job. I mean, look at the rubs in the sauce. Booten's over there all the time. What's the one? Pig's ass. What's it called?
Pig's ass rub. Yes, yeah. And they also have a barbecue sauce. Sweet rub of mine is a good one too. Yeah, that's a good one.
Look at this 39th grand reopening, if you will, that you had was so cool, man. This guy that you had, this Milwaukee rep who came up from Boston. What a top-notch dude. I mean, just the demos and stuff that he's going over there was fantastic. I'm still saying, gotta have it, gotta have it. Gotta have that weed whacker. I mean, battery-powered Milwaukee stuff is the electricity's great, but man, it's like, holy shit, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And everything. I mean, there's a whole aisle. It's like everything is red.
Yeah. There's a lot of Milwaukee product in the store. There's also a lot of Ego product, and there's a lot of DeWalt product. I mean, lithium batteries changed everything. Absolutely changed everything. For somebody like myself, I grew up, and my dad and I cut wood, and we mowed, and we did all the things that you expect that we would do together. If my father's chainsaw stopped working and his buddy couldn't fix it, he went and bought a new one, because what my father knew about any small engine, you could fit in a thimble and have space left over.
Yeah.
Consequently, what I know about a gas engine also is about half of a thimble full. So for me, and I, step back as a consumer at this point. I got my gas trimmer. I try to put it away. I either keep it full, the gas with the ethanol in it, I either keep it full or I run it dry. And you get it out in the spring, and you yank, and you yank, and you yank, and you yank. And then you have to take it to, again, relationships. Take it to one of the service guys that I know, 3-4 weeks.
Sure.
So now your grass is 1.5 feet high. All I got to do now is pop a battery in it, and I go.
No
That's
carburetor?
It. No carburetor to mess around
Spark
with.
plugs?
No spark plugs. Boom, it's done. Lawnmowers, tractors. We sell Ego zero-turn tractors now.
Yeah.
They take 6 batteries. We'll mow a couple of acres on a charge. But I started with the Milwaukee product, and have continued with the Milwaukee products. All my outdoor power equipment now is our Milwaukee battery operated stuff. But I also
chainsaws.
I've got a Milwaukee chainsaw. First product I bought was a chainsaw.
Badass.
And I said, I'm going to hate this. I know I'm going to hate it. And
you're just like me. You're old school. Like that.
Exactly.
But he demoed. Your rep demoed it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like going through butter.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of torque you get out of the battery is almost as good as what you can get out of most gas saws. I'm not going to say all, not the commercial ones, so don't anybody hate me on this.
Right.
But as far as for what I do, they're great. If I was going to cut up, an 18-inch ash tree that was that needed to come down, then I'm going to get my gas saw out.
Sure.
I'm going to trim it with my Milwaukee. But I'm gonna do up the bucking up of it. I'm gonna use a gas saw. Not that it couldn't do it. It's just gonna eat up the batteries, pretty quickly. So.
You're just everything over there. You've expanded. Like when you took that wall out, and you started pushing back into pool worlds.
Where pool world was. Yeah.
You got all your grills over there. You could go. Anyone could go in there and spend an hour just in that room alone.
There's a lot of stuff in there. Right now, it's full of holiday stuff. 50% off on Christmas lights and accessories right now. So we'll probably have them up for a few more days.
Yeah, hit your whatever sales you've got going on. What I love about you guys is you walk like I did the other day. I walked by with Lily. I look up and I see the furnace air filter poster that you've got on the wall, and oh my God. Have I changed out the filter in my furnace? It's wintertime. We're running the thing all the time now. What am I breathing? Stuff like that. Things that you don't think of.
That's what these are great for. You put a reminder on your calendar. Every 60 days, change your filters, depending on which filters you use.
Yeah.
If you use an air filter that is very fine, like a 1500 MERV, that catches a lot of the dust and the allergens, probably every 60 days, because it's going to fill up a little quicker because it's not letting some of the smaller stuff through.
Sure.
With a lesser MERV, if you're talking about a 400, you can probably get away with 90 days. But that's what I do. I have filters in the apartment buildings, and I throw it in my calendar. It comes up, pops up, tells me, hey, it's time to change the filter. So it works out great.
How was Ladies' Night over at Nelson's?
Ladies' Night was a lot of fun.
You do that how long have you been doing that?
This was our 12th annual.
Jeez.
The last 2 years, because of COVID and because of trying to keep so many people from being all together in one confined space, we did days where folks could come in throughout the day and do and sign up and get the discounts and that kind of thing. And they were successful, and people really enjoyed them. But they aren't as much fun as doing, closing down for an hour, getting
Sure.
everything ready. We buy a bunch of treats from local folks. We buy, local treats and that kind of thing, and some food, and we make some food, and the ladies, it's amazing. They're
lot of
there's
fun.
20 of them at the back door when we open up at 5, and there's 20 of them at the front door when we open up at 5, and
I've always kind of wondered what the hell's going on in there with all these ladies. Do you guys lock the
it's
doors?
a lot of fun.
Mimosas? What's happening?
Well, I can't tell all of those things.
I see the electric snowblowers out here. You guys have snowblowers. You got shovels. You got salt. You got sand. You got all the stuff for everything that you could possibly need for the winter. But you've even got a whole kitchen. Forget about the paint. My God, just the Benjamin Moore paint alone. If you're indoors this winter doing some projects, let's be honest, it helps with the depression. It helps with the seasonal adjustment disorder to say, you know what, I think that this room would be nice as a different color, maybe a different shade of blue. Let's spruce things up. We've got time. It's January, it's February. This is the time to get painting indoors. Yeah. But look at the kitchen department alone. My God, Bob, that popped a few years ago where you guys were just like, boom, with the kitchen stuff.
That's something that's kind of carried over from my dad's time with Nelson Brothers. They were an appliance and home goods store, and we've carried that on for. They opened in 1952, I think. And when we opened in 83, that was one of the things. Matter of fact, the first 2 years we were in business, we carried major appliances, refrigerators and ranges and stuff, because that was part of what my father's previous business, Nelson Brothers, did. But we've always had a strong houseware selection, and it's not as broad as it once was. It's narrowed a little bit, but we still have a great selection of. If you need a kitchen gadget, we've got just about absolutely anything you want. If you want a French fry cutter, you want a garlic peeler, you want an avocado slicer and tool. We've got all those kinds of things, plus all the product that you would kind of expect: baking pans, fry pans, canning jars. Our canning selection is very broad. We've got. You can turn a canning jar into almost anything these days, and we've got all of those things, the chalk tops and the chalk fronts, and we've got the stuff so that you can turn them into a straw drinking, or you can turn them into a piggy bank, all of these different things, honey dippers. We've got all of that to use, on a standard canning jar to turn them into something other than a standard canning jar.
My brother's got something that cooks bacon in the oven so that when it's done, you don't have to sop up all the grease and all that. I don't know if you have anything like that, but
I don't know as I do have that.
I'm coming over.
We had somebody come in as a matter of fact, just before I came over, they were looking for a microwave bacon cooker. Yeah. And that's one of those things that was, again, 20 years ago, we sold them all the time because at that time, you would talk about being old.
Yeah.
I'm switching gears here on you, but I can remember having to teach people how to run a microwave because the technology was brand new. And
you mean the microwaves that were like 4 feet by 3 feet?
Yeah, people would come in and they were magic.
Yeah,
they didn't know how they worked. They didn't understand them, and so we literally had to teach them. We also used to sell and deliver VCRs, and I would be the programming guy for VCRs. And so VCRs for younger people watching.
Yeah, what the hell's a VCR? What about like generators? And the reason why I ask is just a little while ago, December 23rd, 24th, whatever it was, gazillion Vermonters without power. Is it generators? Whole nother bag.
Yeah.
Something you've considered bringing in some Honda generators or Milwaukee? I don't know.
Well, the battery operated ones would be tough only because you'd need power. You'd need more power to charge the batteries. But I can tell you that we have a couple of generators. I don't go deep in them.
Yeah.
This was a time where if everything had fallen right, I would have made sure that I had 30 or 40 generators on hand for that. Unfortunately, because the holiday was coming, the trucking schedule had kind of changed so that I could not get on the I could not get in on the front to be able to have some generators. But
Sure.
I'll tell you, we felt horrible that Friday and that Saturday because we probably took 200 calls for people who had
You guys
no
have
power,
generators?
looking for generators
Yeah.
or generator cables or generator parts.
Sure.
And that was one of the things, and I say we feel bad about it, is because what we do is when there's something like that happens, hardware stores are supposed to step up and be the place that you can go to get help.
Right.
And we weren't able to help folks at that
Right.
point. Yeah.
Supply chain, staffing shortages, inflation, Fed's boosting rates, cost of food, cost of everything. We've got businesses like Sears going out of business right down the road, Barry Montpelier Road. What say you about all of that? Small businesses going forward into the new year, all small businesses are going to have to keep the edge sharp and be creative with how they survive with all of these things that are going against them.
Yeah.
Supply chain, staffing shortages, and the list goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think 2023 is going to be challenging in a lot of ways. One of the ways that you can combat that as a business, and you have to have the cash flow to be able to do that, but is by making sure that you have the proper inventory.
Yeah.
And buying ahead of time.
Be prepared.
Right.
Yes,
be prepared.
right.
And, for instance, I just finished placing my holiday order for Christmas lights, Christmas trees, all of that stuff for Christmas 2023 this week.
Wow.
So, I mean, Ace is very aggressive. They make sure that they make sure that their orders are done. They're way in advance, and it's crazy because I haven't finished selling my Christmas stuff yet. Wow. But to make sure that we're going to have product in October for the Christmas selling season, these are when the orders have got to be placed.
You're months ahead of the game.
Yes.
Father's Day.
Father's Day is going to be coming up very quickly for me to order because of the majority of the holiday lights, of course, come from overseas.
Yeah.
They're all manufactured overseas. Sure. That's why the length of time, the lead time on that is so long. The other thing that I've just finished doing is all of the spring ordering. So the fertilizers and all that, I'm ordering now, and they're going to come in end of March, 1st of April, somewhere around there.
Are you going to do any kind of springtime demo? This battery-powered Milwaukee lawnmower just absolutely blew my mind. The headlights on the front of it. I mean, just all of it.
Yeah.
Will there be anything that we can kind of look forward to for springtime?
Yes, Ace has encouraged its dealers to do 3 or 4 demonstrations a year, and they'll be advertised in our circulars when the circulars go out, and they'll be advertised on television and on radio and everything else. And so there's those, and they will be part. That's grills, paint, and outdoor power equipment. So those are the things that they're going to push. But I've already had conversations with Nick, my Milwaukee rep, to come up and do at least 2, probably 1 in the spring to kind of hit the outdoor power equipment and tools, for the summer as the contractors get going. And then we'll do one again in the fall, again aimed towards outdoor power equipment.
Huh.
But yeah, getting back to business, there's going to be a lot of challenges this year. I don't know if they're going to be any greater than the challenges we faced in the last 2 years. But businesses are going to have to watch their cash flow pretty closely. And, as hard as it is to hire right now, there are probably some businesses that are going to have to release some people to be able to make sure that they stay. I mean,
look at the restaurant industry alone. God.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you look at the hours that people have, how their hours have changed. Our hours have changed multiple times, due to illness, due to weather, and we've tried to stay pretty consistent. But from March of 2020 up until Christmas of 2020, we were closed Sundays. because I had a very narrow window of staff to work with. I couldn't hire anyone. I had a number of people who were out because they were concerned for a family member that was high risk, or they're high risk themselves.
Sure.
Parents were keeping their young people home because they, it was at that point, now we have a better understanding of it. But for that first 6 or 8 months, nobody understood what was going on. Were you supposed to be out for 2 weeks? Did you mask? Did you not mask? What did you do? And so the number of people that I could call on, the only way to give everybody 2 days off a week and only work them 5 days was to say everybody gets Sunday off, and then everybody gets 1 day off during the week.
Are you hiring now?
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking for part-time or full-time people. I would like 1 or 2 full-time people, or I would like 3 or 4 part-time people.
What do they have to do? Come in, say hi to you, Annette.
Sure.
Kelly.
Annette or I do the hiring. Yeah.
Okay.
Come in, grab an application, fill it out. We're not fancy enough to have an online form or anything like that, and I'm not that person anyway. I don't judge people by a piece of paper. I like to sit down and talk to them. So and Annette, Annette is the same way. So we like to have a face-to-face and shake hands and say hi and have a conversation, and the rest of it, we'll call references and do that kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, but
sure.
I don't judge everything by the application.
That's wonderful. Yeah. But you're right. Small businesses need to stay ahead of the game going into 2023. Plan way, way, way ahead.
Yep.
And there's different sectors that are different. I mean, the restaurant industry alone is just food and everything.
Yep.
Just unbelievable.
Yep.
What's happening. And I know you're watching what's happening coming down the big pipe, but it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
It is. I think businesses that are, how do I want to say it, cautiously aggressive. I think if you're in business and you react by being scared and being unsure, I think you might struggle. I know you'll struggle. But I think if you go in and you say, this is what I want to accomplish, and I think this is the best way for me to accomplish it, and you go for it, and you can do those things without having to increase spending, without having to increase staff, but just being positive and being I call it aggressive. That's probably not the right term, but moving forward. Not that I would tell anybody how to run their business. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Cody Morrison from Barrie Area Development was in here every single Monday morning for 2 years, reminding Vermonters of the importance of buying local. The importance has always been there. It's always been there, but probably never more important with COVID and post-COVID, if there is such a thing, than now. The return on the dollar of what you spend locally that stays right here in the local economy versus a big box chain or Amazon or whatever it is that you're buying. If you're only, and I understand this is catch-22 because it's inflation is so high, 40% or whatever the hell it is. We're trying to save a buck, but we also have to understand how critical it is to keep your buck local.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, if it's a restaurant or Beauvair's or whatever the hell, you've got to keep it local.
Yeah.
It's going to come back and help you.
Absolutely.
It may take a little while before
100%.
you feel those effects, but it's going to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, I had somebody explain to me many, many years ago. They said, one of the big differences is for, and I'll use this as an example, Tyler Biggers Auto.
Yeah.
So I saw Tyler posted something on Facebook. He's got some friends. One of them has cancer. So he's doing a gun raffle. And so he went out, purchased a firearm to raffle, to raise money for these people. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Okay, if you were to go to some of the big names that are out there, okay, they don't have that built into there. That may be why they're 5% less, and they may not be 5% less, but or 10% less. But the thinking is, well, they're a big chain, so they've got to be less money. But your big chains, they're not supporting your Freezing Fun for Families team. They're not supporting your kids' Little League team. They're not supporting your child's dance classes. They're not supporting people who are ill in your community that need help, people who've had a fire and have lost everything. That's where the local people, that's where some of that extra, whether it's real or perceived, difference in the price, that's where a lot of that is found. It's not, they're not spending a ton of money advertising out there saying that they're the lowest price every day. They're out there saying, hey, we're here, we're local, and we're going to support you, and we're going to support your family and your friends.
Yeah. Let's ring the bell on Tracy Lewis and the partnership and with the outstanding job that she's doing in Barrie area merchants.
Tracy is unbelievable. Barrie is so fortunate to have her. She does such a great job. She helps the downtown businesses, and overall she helps increase the positivity of being a member of our community and bringing the people here to our community, whether it's concerts in the park, or it's the
Food
Heritage
trucks.
Festival, or it's the lighting, the holiday lighting contest,
Fall Festival.
the Fall Festival, all of these things.
The craft show.
The craft show that she took over. I mean, that was a huge undertaking.
Yeah, I'm sure how she does it as one person.
No, she's amazing. The whole all of Central Vermont benefits from having her here as director of the Barrie Partnership. There's no doubt. Absolutely.
At all the ribbon cuttings, as you are, become a member of the partnership.
Absolutely. Yes, please. If you have an opportunity, barriepartnership.org, and you can donate $5, $10, $50. You can become a member. All that money stays local, and it's used for local performances, local events.
Chamber of Commerce too.
Yes, absolutely. Another great organization that supports local businesses and Barrie merchants in particular.
Yeah. What's your title?
Like yourself.
What's your title with Barrie merchants? What?
Hardware store owner. Back in the day, I was vice president of the Barrie Merchants Bureau. Mary Jane's brother, Dick. I went to one of the first merchant meetings when I was 18 or so. And Dick, I think his exact words were, "You look dumb enough to be a vice president."
Oh my God!
So
have you ever seen Dick Wobby sitting in here on the air with us?
Yep. He's a force, much like Mary Jane.
Yes.
He's a force, and I mean, we did the Sugar on Snow Festival, the longest Sugar on Snow ever down Main Street with umpteen hundred tables and Harry Morse, and there were a lot of good things that we did, and that was the precursor to the Barrie Partnership in 1999, maybe.
Sure.
Bob Sager and myself and a couple other people got. We called ourselves Barrie 2000 and Beyond, which again morphed into the Barrie Partnership, and I was president of the Barrie Partnership for a few years, a couple of times. Again, it's part of being the community that is, whether it's the merchant community or the community of Central Vermont or community.
It's impossible to be passionate about what you do, and impossible to be passionate about how much you love your community and not get passionate about politics. I know that you've got some incredible opinions, and you wear them on your shirt sleeve. How do you feel about the Wheelock building? What do you say to people who say something to you about the old J.J. Newberry's building? How do you feel about that? I mean, look at where you are on the south side of the street here, across from you. Mm-hmm. These two buildings, and I know each one of them, totally separate story, totally separate situation and everything. How do you feel about that? What do you say to people that say, God, I wish that they do something with the new Barry's building?
Downtown Barry's empty all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear
because
it.
that's where the sun shines in the afternoon. It lights that up.
And it's that one set of buildings, those two buildings that have been empty for a long time.
Long time.
I'm not going to get too far down in the weeds.
Sure, I
but
understand.
the ownership of that building is unlikely to, unless somebody offered them $10 million for it, the ownership of that property is unlikely to ever do anything.
And I think it's like literally $6 million. Is what the tag is on.
$6 million. So, if somebody, that means somebody's going to spend $6 million on two buildings that the best thing that could possibly happen to them would be for them to be torn down, put concrete in the basement along with, because there's a stream running through underneath it.
Yes.
And then start over. And that's a big price tag, particularly when commercial rates are 6% right now. When they were 1%, maybe, but not at 6%.
Yeah.
As far as the Wheelock building, I think that 10 years ago, I would consider purchasing that building and renovating it. I think at my age right now and knowing what my plans are at this point in my life, I think that's a good plan for somebody who maybe is a little bit younger than I am. But to renovate that building, there's historic tax credits involved there. There are a lot of ways that you can get a lot of assistance to be able to make that project, bring that building up so that it looks and feels like a historic part of the downtown, which it is. But right now it doesn't look and feel it, particularly if you go inside it. The inside needs a lot of work. I love that the Barry Partnership is in there because it is a historic space. But I've been in there in the wintertime meeting with Tracy, and we're sitting there with our coats on because it's so cold in there. So I think it's a great opportunity for somebody to be able to do that. I hope that is what happens to it. And I hope that the city does not decide to sell it to somebody that's going to tear it down, because it is a grand old building and it deserves the care that my father saw fit to give to the buildings across the street.
What do you say about this options tax? I know Montpelier's thinking about incorporating it now too, and I'm sure that they're watching what's happening in Barry and making their decisions based on that. How do you feel about that? You can kick me under the desk here.
No.
If you get far enough, you can get your foot right under there.
I'm not a fan of it. I think it puts Barry City businesses at a disadvantage to some extent. When they talked about putting in the 1% tax on food and drink, I said to my wife, is an extra dollar on a $100 bill going to keep us from going out to eat? No, I don't think it is. But it's a perception. It's it's that 1% difference. And I don't need to tell you, I'm sure you probably have even talked about it on your show, that there are a lot of people who do not live in Barry City who have an 05641 zip code. And that has created some consternation because there are a lot of people who live in Berlin that have an 05641 zip code, and there are a whole lot of people who live in Barry Town that have an 05641 zip code. So again, if you're listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, if you do Hulu or Netflix, or if you buy from any of the online retailers, they see 05641, they're going to charge you 7% even if you don't live in Barry City. So that's something that you are. Now, I heard just at a meeting the other day, and I can't tell you that this is 100% truth, because I heard it in a meeting. So it's not, I don't know if it's gospel, but it's my understanding that the state is actually keeping a portion of that extra 1% because they recognize that there are people in Berlin and Barry Town who are going to come to them and say, I want some of this tax back. Hulu, Netflix, whoever is not going to be the way that you get that money back. You're going to have to apply to the state. Again, don't take that as gospel. But that's the first I'd heard of that, and I thought that was interesting that the state was on the forefront of it. They are normally reactive as opposed to proactive, but it sounds like they were proactive in this case, and so they've got a pool of money there where you can say, hey, I've paid too much. Can I fill out this form and get my some of that tax back?
Interesting.
But are you going to spend 20 minutes filling out a form for 64 cents? I don't know.
We know you've got a delivery truck. We know that you're a busy guy. We're so blessed for your time, Bob, for you to come in here and chew the fat with us. And my God, I could do it all day with you. I know you got to fly. But I'll tell you, for me, the biggest takeaway, and for so many others, not just me, everyone, is Nelson's is, again, so much more than just a hardware store, even so much more than customer service, even so much more than incredible product lines like Milwaukee and Traeger, and the list goes, Benjamin Moore, the list goes on. Even more than a company that has is just celebrating its 39th reopening anniversary since you've been at the wheel. 1983. I can only imagine what you'd look like in 1983, Bob.
I had hair.
Was there hair?
I had a mullet.
Oh, jeez.
I was rocking it.
My God.
Promise.
But even more than all of these things is Nelson's is the hardware store that picks up the phone and calls Stones and says, hey, thanks for what you're doing over there by putting some sleds out in front of your gas station for people to go sledding across the road. By the way, if those sleds were ever to disappear, come over to Nelson's and we'll give you some sleds to replenish them.
Somebody's been talking out of school.
That's Nelson's hardware. That's Nelson's hardware right there.
Well, thank you.
We love
it's
you. We
the
love
fact
you,
that
pal.
somebody thinks enough to do that, deserves to have us support them. Because there are kids that don't have sleds, and the fact that they're doing that and putting those sleds out there for people to use across the street there in the park is, that's great. And what little bit I can do to support that it's easy. They're doing the hard work. So
thanks for coming in here, brother.
thanks for having us.
And thank you for sponsoring us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got your back.
Proud to be a sponsor.
We love to have you.
Yep.
Every time our cameras turn on,
There we are.
It's shooting Nelson's Ace Hardware.
Yep.
You guys are always there for our community, no matter what their needs are. Simple, complicated, everyday stuff, emergencies. You guys are there.
We're there.
We appreciate you.
If I could just put one plug in real quick.
Please do.
And that is for community service, folks. If you pay attention to what's going on and you want to give back, there are community committees that you can serve on, whether it's Barrie City, Barrie Town, Montpelier. If you're out there and you have an opportunity, go out and serve. Get on a community and get in a committee and get involved.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.